U.S. President Donald Trump has declared an end to trade negotiations with Canada following Ottawa's decision to implement a digital services tax aimed at major technology companies. While most U.S. trade agreements are set to be concluded by August 1st, Trump noted that talks with Canada have stalled, suggesting the U.S. may instead impose tariffs, stating, "Canada could be one where they'll just pay tariffs." In Washington, the latest U.S. trade offensive has placed Canada firmly in the spotlight. The administration is reportedly preparing tariffs of up to 35% on all Canadian imports, a significant escalation in the ongoing dispute that could deliver a major blow to Canada's economy and disrupt cross-border trade worth hundreds of billions annually. As political tensions intensify, an entirely different upheaval is unfolding in the global energy market. Before we begin, hit that like button and subscribe to Traveling Vibes. It helps us navigate the YouTube algorithm. A transformative moment has arrived in North America's energy landscape. On June 30th, 2025, Canada dispatched its first-ever shipment of liquefied natural gas, LNG, to overseas markets, a milestone that saw Canadian gas sail directly across the Pacific to Asia, bypassing U.S. transit entirely. This historic breakthrough marks a decisive step toward Canadian energy independence and signals a potential shift in global LNG dynamics. Could this launch position Canada among the world's top LNG exporters? We'll examine that possibility later. For context, Canada's vast natural gas reserves had, for over 3 decades, only one export route: pipelines south into the United States. Virtually all exported gas flowed to its southern neighbor, with 2024 alone seeing about 8.8 billion cubic feet per day, worth roughly $8 billion annually, delivered exclusively to the U.S. Canada's dependence on a single buyer left its energy sector exposed, tethered to U.S. demand, infrastructure, and policy. As recent tariff threats made clear, that reliance carried profound risks. When Washington imposed tariffs in early 2025, 25% on most Canadian imports, and a targeted 10% duty on energy products, the blow landed squarely on Canada's oil and gas industry. Producers, already selling at a discount to U.S. prices, now faced an even steeper competitive disadvantage. Affordable gas risked being sidelined by foreign taxes, and long-term supply contracts wavered under mounting political strain. The message was unmistakable. The status quo was no longer sustainable. The breakthrough unfolded on Canada's west coast, in the remote community of Kitimat, British Columbia. After years of development, the $40 billion LNG Canada export terminal, the largest private investment in the nation's history, began operations, reshaping Canada's position in the global energy market. For the first time, Canada can liquefy natural gas by supercooling it to around minus 165 degrees Celsius, reducing its volume by 600 times. This transformation enables fuel once limited to pipelines to be shipped worldwide on massive LNG carriers. Strategic geography gives Kitimat a decisive edge. While U.S. Gulf Coast exporters must navigate the Panama Canal to reach Asia, LNG Canada's Pacific location allows tankers to reach Northeast Asia in about 10 days, roughly half the transit time from Texas or Louisiana, cutting costs and avoiding canal congestion. The inaugural shipment from Kitimat, aboard the tanker Gas Log Glasgow, departed with premium-grade LNG, charting a faster Pacific route directly to Asia's economic powerhouses: Japan, South Korea, China, and beyond. In a single voyage, Canada established a new maritime energy corridor, strengthening its resilience and global reach. For decades, Canadian gas was effectively landlocked within North America, sold at discounted prices due to restricted market access. Now, producers can tap directly into Asia, a region with soaring energy demand and a willingness to pay premium rates for stable supply. This shift diversifies Canada's customer base and diminishes the influence of any single buyer. The timing is pivotal. Japan is securing new long-term LNG contracts and expanding import capacity by 20 million tons annually from 2026 as it transitions from coal and nuclear power. South Korea is boosting LNG storage by 50% over the next decade to meet winter demand and hedge against disruptions. Meanwhile, China, the world's fastest-growing LNG market, is locking in multi-decade supply agreements with partners worldwide. Canada's entry into the Asian LNG market comes at an ideal moment. Utilities and industries across the region are seeking to diversify supply sources, and Canada, with its political stability, abundant resources, and reputation as a low-risk, reliable partner, is a strategic fit. LNG Canada also distinguishes itself through its sustainability commitments and community engagement. Over its 7-year construction period, the project created an estimated 50,000 jobs and generated more than 5.8 billion Canadian dollars in contracts for Indigenous-owned enterprises and local businesses, embedding economic benefits deeply into the region. The Haisla Nation, whose traditional territory hosts the Kitimat terminal, is more than a stakeholder. It holds equity in the 670-kilometer coastal gas link pipeline linking interior shale fields to the coast. This degree of Indigenous ownership and revenue sharing is unprecedented in Canada's energy sector, establishing a new benchmark for major infrastructure projects. Technologically, the Kitimat terminal ranks among the world's most advanced and environmentally conscious LNG facilities. Powered largely by British Columbia's hydroelectric grid, its liquefaction process significantly reduces greenhouse gas emissions, giving Canadian LNG a cleaner profile than many competitors. Constructing in such a remote, rugged location posed formidable challenges, from severe weather to strict environmental regulations, driving costs above those of comparable U.S. Gulf Coast projects. To mitigate expenses, British Columbia's government provided hundreds of millions in targeted incentives, a move that stirred debate over public support for fossil fuel infrastructure in a climate-conscious era. With operations now underway, LNG Canada aims to reach full capacity by 2026, exporting roughly 170 cargoes annually. Each shipment further reduces Canada's reliance on U.S. pipelines and the shifting political climate in Washington. As for whether Canada could rank among the world's top LNG exporters, the answer is, potentially, yes. A proposed Phase 2 expansion would double capacity to 28 million tons per year, placing Canada in the global top 5. However, such growth is far from certain. It would demand tens of billions in new capital, stringent environmental approvals, and financing in an era marked by climate accountability and elevated interest rates. The upside remains substantial. Transitioning from landlocked pipelines to ocean-going tankers grants Canada unprecedented flexibility and geopolitical leverage, enabling shipments to flow toward the most lucrative markets. For Asian buyers, Canadian LNG is more than just energy. It's a strategic safeguard against dependence on any single supplier. Several already hold equity in the project, ensuring their interests are directly tied to its long-term success. ChatGPT said, "Competition in the LNG market is intense. Qatar, the United States, Australia, and newcomers like Mozambique are all expanding capacity. For Canada to compete effectively, growth must be strategic, potentially through additional West Coast facilities such as Cedar LNG and KSI Lisem's LNG, both Indigenous-led projects with strong environmental frameworks. A promising niche for Canada lies in delivering the world's lowest-emission LNG. As carbon border adjustment mechanisms gain global traction, cleaner gas could secure premium pricing. With hydro-powered infrastructure and stringent regulatory oversight, Canada holds a natural advantage, provided it continues advancing emissions reduction measures, including carbon capture and methane mitigation. And that's where Canada's position in this energy chess game really stands out. While the US pushes for faster, cheaper solutions, Canada is playing the long game. Cleaner LNG, lower emissions, and a growing role in the global carbon-conscious market. But make no mistake, this is more than just a trade dispute or a clash of political egos. It's a turning point. If Canada keeps building on its advantage in low-emission energy, it could cement itself as the supplier the world calls first. And the US may have no choice but to come back to the table. The question is, who blinks first? Will Washington soften its stance to secure the energy it needs for its AI and manufacturing ambitions? Or will Ottawa hold firm, betting that the future belongs to countries that can deliver both power and sustainability? Either way, the outcome won't just shape the next trade deal. It could redefine energy partnerships for decades. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure you're subscribed to Traveling Vibes and turn on notifications so you don't miss our deep dives into the world's biggest geopolitical shifts. And as always, we'd love to hear your take. Is Canada holding the winning cards? Or is the US just one move away from turning the game around? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.